Picture this: a massive luxury cruise liner drifting across the Caribbean Sea. A family of 9 is on board, celebrating a rare tropical getaway together. But late one night, mid-voyage, the oldest daughter, right in the prime of her life, suddenly dies under incredibly mysterious circumstances. Right inside her own stateroom, the scene was absolutely spotless. Investigators could not find a single trace of forced entry from the hallway. Trapped on this massive floating island in the middle of the ocean, where on earth did the killer come from? The Carnival Horizon is essentially a floating city on the water. This massive vessel, owned by Carnival Cruise Line, weighs in at 130,000 tons. It boasts 15 decks, thousands of staterooms, and, at maximum capacity, holds nearly 4,000 passengers. Every single room comes packed with all the luxury amenities you could want. For anyone stepping aboard for a tropical vacation, everything here feels absolutely flawless. This specific ship sails a massively popular itinerary. It is your classic Caribbean sightseeing route. The journey departs from Miami, hits the Cayman Islands and Mexico, before finally cruising right back to Miami. The whole trip runs 7 days and 6 nights. Out in the vast open ocean, every cabin becomes a totally private, isolated bubble. Once that heavy door clicks shut, whatever happens inside is almost impossible for anyone in the hallway to hear. On this floating resort, safety and danger are often separated by nothing more than a paper-thin wall. In the fall of 2025, a family from Florida stepped aboard this colossal cruise liner. They were the Kepler family, a big blended household. This vacation brought together a total of 9 people. That included the grandparents, the married couple, and 5 kids. Out of all those children, the oldest was Anna. She was their 18-year-old daughter, just weeks away from graduating high school. A few years back, Anna's parents divorced. Her dad, Christopher, took Anna, her 14-year-old brother, and her 9-year-old little sister to start a brand new chapter with their stepmom. Anna's stepmom had 2 kids as well, a 16-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl. Throw in Anna's paternal grandparents, and this huge blended family set off on their Caribbean vacation together. Right before the ship left port, Anna shared her entire cruise itinerary with her biological mom. Based on the schedule, the cruise was slated to return to Miami in just about a week. But when that day finally rolled around, every single text her mom sent to Anna was met with total silence. She tried calling her ex-husband, but got nothing but dead silence there too. Right as she started to panic, a friend suddenly shot her a bizarre message. They asked if Anna was currently a passenger on board that exact cruise liner. Her mom felt sick. She just had this awful pit in her stomach. She frantically grabbed her phone and scoured the internet. And what she uncovered was breaking news. Her own daughter was murdered on the ship, and the story had already blown up everywhere on social media. On a Friday in November 2025, the Carnival Horizon was steaming back toward Miami. It was the second to last day of their planned tropical itinerary. The very next morning, the massive vessel was set to dock back in the city. Out on the ocean, the skies were crystal clear. Hundreds of passengers were lounging out on the top deck, soaking up the final relaxing hours of their vacation. By noon, most of the guests were awake and out enjoying the ship. Meanwhile, the housekeeping crew started making their standard stateroom rounds. A steward pushed open the door to the Kepler family cabin. It was totally empty inside, but one glaring detail over by the bed immediately caught his eye. Normally, this room had 3 beds set up inside, but one of the mattresses was shoved completely crooked, looking like a total mess. And underneath it sat this massive weird bulge, almost like someone had frantically kicked a heavy object straight under the frame. Feeling instantly suspicious, the steward walked over, planning to just quickly straighten out the mattress. But the second he lifted it, the sight underneath completely paralyzed him. Crammed right into the dark space beneath the bed was a young girl. She was tightly wrapped up in a blanket. Several heavy life jackets were piled over her entire body shaking. A few minutes later, the cheerful background music playing across the ship abruptly cut to dead silence. It was instantly replaced by the blaring wail of a medical emergency alarm. The overhead speaker offered zero explanation. It just barked orders for the emergency medical crew to sprint directly to a specific stateroom. When those alarms first started blaring, the Kepler family was just out enjoying their afternoon. Anna's grandfather was hanging out down in the arcade. He was just picking up a few game cards. But the second he caught that room number, his blood ran cold. That was the exact cabin where the 3 older kids were staying, including his granddaughter, Anna. Nobody had seen her all morning. Pure panic washed over him. He dropped everything he was doing and sprinted straight back to the cabin. Out in the hall, right next to the door, he ran straight into Anna's dad. His son's face was completely pale. Before he could even force out a single question, the grandfather already knew the truth. Inside the cabin, the medical crew was rushing around. And once they made the final call, the body shoved under the bed was Anna. She wasn't breathing. Honestly, she had been gone long before anyone even started looking. The victim was 18-year-old Anna Kepler. She was a senior over at Temple Critton High School. Anna was incredibly full of life. She cheered on the varsity squad, and she was constantly surrounded by a huge group of friends. In the classroom, she was a genuinely brilliant student. She pulled straight A's across the board without even breaking a sweat. Anna knew exactly what she wanted out of her future. She mapped everything out early on, deciding that right after graduation, she would head straight into the United States Navy. Her absolute biggest dream was to eventually become a highly trained, professional canine handler. Her dad wanted to reward all that intense dedication, and he really wanted to celebrate the fact that his daughter was starting a brand new chapter in life. That is exactly why he went out of his way to book this massive family cruise vacation. But who could have possibly predicted that a getaway meant for pure joy and celebration would tragically become her final destination to anyone looking in from the outside? The Kepler family looked incredibly happy, but the reality of this huge blended household was actually a lot more complicated. Anna originally had 2 biological younger siblings. The older boy was named Connor. He was 4 years younger, and she also had a little sister with a 9-year age gap. A few years prior, her biological parents went through a rough divorce. Her mom took the youngest sibling, leaving Anna and Connor behind to live full-time with their dad. A while later, her dad met their stepmom, who was also divorced. The two of them tied the knot pretty fast. Their stepmom brought along 2 kids of her own. Her son, Tim, was just 2 years younger than Anna, along with her daughter, who matched Anna's little sister in age perfectly. And just like that, this massive blended family of 9 naturally split right down the middle. The 2 youngest girls were the same age, so they were glued to each other constantly. Meanwhile, Anna was the oldest. She took her stepbrother Tim and her biological brother Connor under her wing, forming the older kids' crew as the big sister to all 5. Anna was incredibly sweet. She was fiercely protective of her younger siblings. Honestly, if you scrolled through her social media feeds, you would constantly catch her dancing, goofing off, and just having an absolute blast with her 2 brothers. Tim and Connor looked super well behaved in those clips too. They were always completely happy to play along with their older sister. The Kepler family lived up in Titusville, Florida. From there, the drive straight down to the port of Miami only takes about 3 hours. For this massive getaway, apart from the parents and the 5 kids, Anna's grandparents made a special effort to tag along. For the 2 of them, getting to watch all their grandkids gathered together on a ship should have been the highlight of their golden years. Now, because those older kids were always hanging out and playing together back home, and since Anna was known as such a responsible big sister, someone the parents could absolutely trust, when it came time to actually book the cruise cabins, they felt totally relaxed. They decided to put 18-year-old Anna in the same room as 16-year-old stepbrother Tim and 14-year-old Connor. In the parents' eyes, those three teenagers were old enough. Bunking them together meant they could easily keep a close eye on each other while giving the adults a little bit of well-deserved privacy. The two youngest girls still needed constant supervision, so the parents booked the cabin right across the hall from Anna. As for Anna's grandparents, they really just preferred to have a little peace and quiet. But the grandparents' cabin still had one extra spare bed. That was just a backup plan. If the teens started fighting, someone could easily move over at any time. But for the first few days, nobody needed it. The date was November 2025. The entire family left Florida, officially boarding the massive cruise ship at the port of Miami. The first few days of the cruise vacation, absolutely perfect. They snapped plenty of photos by the water. The entire family stuck close together, especially her grandparents. They adored their oldest granddaughter, Hannah. They held on to several sweet, candid shots from the trip. In all the shared family videos, Anna was the absolute star. She tanned out on the deck with her siblings. She happily joined the yacht parties. The whole family even sat down for a huge seafood feast together. The only tiny issue was that Anna had recently gotten braces. So, whether she was catching the ocean breeze or eating, her teeth constantly ached. Still, that didn't drag down her cheerful mood one bit. Not at all. Whenever the camera was pointing her way, she was her usual vibrant self. Time flew by to early November. There were only 2 days left before the vacation wrapped up. At dinner, the entire family got together to share a little wine. The mood was super upbeat. During the meal, Anna quietly complained again. She told her grandma those braces were bothering her. She wanted to turn in early, but didn't want to ruin the fun. So after dinner, she carefully touched up her makeup. Then she followed the adults to the ship's casino. The casino was completely packed that night. Anna walked around with her family for a while, looking pretty worn out. Right before 8:30, she said her goodbyes and headed back to her cabin all by herself. The next morning, Anna never showed up for breakfast like she normally would. Both of her little brothers said that when they woke up, she was gone. Everyone just figured she went out to the deck to snap photos of the sunrise. Right at that exact moment, the cruise staff pushed open her door and discovered the tragedy. The ship immediately canceled all activities and raced straight back to Miami. The two brothers sharing her room completely broke down. They remembered going straight to sleep the night before, right after getting back. They never even checked to see if Anna was in the room. Out of everyone, her younger brother Tim had a really severe reaction. His mental state was so incredibly fragile, he had to be rushed straight to the hospital for psychiatric help the second they stepped ashore. Meanwhile, her biological mother, miles away, was still completely in the dark. It wasn't until the news blew up all over social media that she painfully found out about the fatal tragedy. Even her youngest boy, who lived with her, only heard about it from kids at school. That is how he learned his own sister was never coming home again. As soon as that cruise ship docked, the FBI immediately locked down the crime scene for a full investigation. The passengers on board started whispering and trading rumors. Early on, a lot of people assumed Anna's death was just a tragic accident. She had just complained about her braces hurting the night before. Plus, the whole family had gotten together that evening to drink wine. So people figured Anna went back to her room and took some painkillers. They thought the pills and alcohol must have had a bad reaction. with each other, causing her death. As for why she was found shoved under the bed, folks guessed someone found her body, panicked about taking the blame, and tried to stage the whole thing to look like a disappearance. But the autopsy report quickly shut down all those wild rumors. The toxicology results showed she had almost zero alcohol in her system, no trace of drugs either. This backed up exactly what her family said. She really barely drank at all that night. Even more chilling, the medical examiner confirmed Anna did not pass away from natural causes. Her neck showed obvious bruising and compression marks. This proved she fought a violent physical struggle right before her death. This also meant the tragedy was definitely not a random accident. This was a full-blown homicide investigation. Based on all the clues police gathered, Anna was last seen alive the night before, saying her final goodbyes at the casino. After that moment, not a single family member or fellow passenger saw her anywhere on the ship. The digital logs from Anna's room key proved she never swiped out to leave, meaning the cabin where she was found. This was almost certainly the main crime scene. On paper, Anna's family looked perfectly normal and happy together. No obvious drama. Plus, every single cabin on that cruise ship featured a modern electronic locking system. Breaking into Anna's room from the outside, almost physically impossible for a random passenger. Just like that, all eyes turned to the handful of people who actually had cabin access. That meant the cruise ship's staff. And a floating city like this is incredibly complex. You're talking thousands of crew members. Plenty of them are cabin stewards. They all carry master key cards. They can swipe into any passenger's room. A few days earlier, people kept spotting Anna hanging out on deck and hitting the parties. Because of that, early on in the murder investigation, detectives had to wonder if her being so social had caught the eye of some creep who decided to target her. That fear wasn't exactly baseless either. Back in 2014, a completely identical nightmare played out. In that case, an angry cruise line employee felt disrespected and took advantage of his job. He snuck into a cabin at midnight and violently assaulted a female passenger. The crew knows these room layouts like the back of their hands, along with every camera blind spot. So sneaking in and out of a stateroom like a ghost, in theory, perfectly doable. But these days, ship access control systems are seriously advanced tech. Every door opening leaves a digital footprint. Investigators quickly pulled the key card swipe records for Anna's cabin and realized something. That specific night, only 3 cards swiped the reader: Anna's own card, her stepbrother Tim, and her real brother Connor, who all bunked there. Zero record of any 4th card being used. At the very least, this proved the theory of a rogue crew member swiping in completely lacked any solid digital proof to back it up. Still, that wasn't enough to map out what truly happened behind those locked doors. The mystery remained totally unsolved. But the internet was already losing its mind. Crazy theories went viral, and the true crime community pointed first, straight at a familiar face: Christopher, the girl's own biological father. The internet sleuths had their reasons. Anna's mother went fully public online, claiming that her ex-husband's actions were incredibly shady. She claimed when she read the tragic news about her daughter's death in the morning paper, she totally snapped and frantically dialed him up. But Christopher, he acted stone cold. He just stayed quiet and absolutely refused to share a single detail about the homicide. Thanks to that, her mom felt she had every single reason to believe he was covering up something huge. Social media commentators immediately jumped into the chat. People argued that Christopher, being her dad, naturally had the access and easy opportunity to grab Anna's keycard. But the real kicker was this: based on the brutal struggle before her death, overpowering the young victim. In a tight cabin would take serious muscle. Put him next to two skinny teenage boys, and Christopher, a man in his prime, easily checked those physical boxes. Overnight, wild conspiracies set the internet ablaze, and people started guessing. If maybe a messy remarriage, dividing up big money, or dark family secrets had actually triggered this awful crime. Yet, if you trust the access control logs, Anna's father, right after finishing up his late-night drinks, walked straight to his own separate room. So, detectives briefly crossed him off the list. Right as the police investigation hit a total brick wall, an even crazier bombshell dropped. It went absolutely viral on social media. Someone leaked anonymous security footage. The video quality was terrible. It looked exactly like a cruise ship corridor. In the clip, you see a young woman is suddenly ambushed from behind. Someone violently drags her into a dark blind spot. She fought back with everything she had, but it was useless, even through the blurry pixels. But the uploader stood their ground. They insisted the woman in that video was actually Anna, the deceased victim. The internet immediately exploded in an uproar, but authorities quickly stepped in. They made an official statement, confirming that this footage had absolutely nothing to do with the crime. The real truth was still buried inside the electronic keycard logs for Anna's cabin. Those logs revealed that after Anna returned for the night, the door was actually opened several times. Aside from her biological younger brother Connor, who came back to the cabin halfway through the evening, every single other swipe pointed to just one keycard. It belonged to her 16-year-old stepbrother. Based on those electronic door logs and the security camera footage, investigators pieced together a crystal-clear timeline of events running from 6 to 8 p.m. that night. The entire family gathered for dinner, then headed over to the casino for some fun. Halfway through, Anna felt sick and went back to her cabin alone to rest. By 8:30 p.m., her younger brother, Tim, swiped into the room for the very first time. By then, her youngest brother Connor was already inside. The little boy was exhausted from playing. He washed up quickly and went straight to sleep. But the strange part was, after quite some time, Tim swiped his card to leave the room again. It took a full hour. At exactly 9:30, he swiped into the cabin for the second time. Then he immediately walked right back out. Another hour passed, making it 10 p.m. Tim swiped into the room for a third time. And after that, he never walked back out. And the exact window Fabi provided for the crime fell right between 8:30 and 10 p.m. Now, a massive question was hanging over everyone. During that specific hour, there were only 3 kids in the room. Who could have done it, judging by raw physical strength? Detectives figured that Tim, being the older brother, was the far more likely suspect here. Anna wasn't just a star cheer captain. She was also training to join the Navy and was in incredible shape. Overpowering her inside that tight cabin wouldn't have been easy at all. Connor was 4 years younger than her. He had zero chance of fully overpowering her like that. On the flip side, Tim was quite a bit taller and physically much bulkier. Then there was the whole issue with the door logs. During that deadly window, Connor stayed inside the entire time. But the guy constantly moving in and out was Tim. His behavior was wildly suspicious. It looked like pure panic, constantly running away, then creeping back to check on the scene. The most vital piece of testimony ultimately came from the youngest brother, Connor. After receiving some psychological counseling, Connor recalled that while he was half asleep, he actually heard Tim getting into a vicious screaming match with their sister. Then, a heavy, muffled thud. He vaguely remembered hearing Tim order his sister to shut up. Not long after that, the cabin door opened. But, because the room was pitch black, Connor naturally assumed his sister had just stormed out after the fight. especially since the room went completely dead silent right after. Little did Connor know. After that door slammed, Anna never actually left. His older sister was tucked away right under the bed, and, in that tight cabin, the victim, the suspect, and the witness all slept until morning, as the gruesome true crime details finally came to light. A massive firestorm of public outrage began shifting directly onto the adults in the family. Anna's grandfather was utterly heartbroken. However, her biological father and stepmother seemed to have made some sort of silent pact to keep their mouths completely shut. Anna's biological mother could not take it anymore. She sat down for a media interview and furiously demanded to know why they would let an 18-year-old girl share a room. With two teenage boys going through puberty, in her mother's eyes this so-called deep sibling bond was nothing more than pure self-deception by the parents, and that sheer negligence created the perfect breeding ground for this horrible tragedy. She publicly blasted her ex-husband, pointing fingers at Christopher, because his choices, his actions, were what pushed his daughter into a corner. 2 weeks after the tragedy, Anna's funeral took place back in her hometown. Her father, Christopher, ran the service. He explicitly told the guests not to wear black, but to show up in bright, colorful outfits instead. He claimed it honored Anna's beautiful, vibrant soul. There was even a car parked outside the memorial venue, covered in bright butterfly balloons. They just swayed gently in the breeze under the warm sun. But behind that warm goodbye, the bitter family feud was just kicking off. During this heartbreaking moment, Anna's real mom got stopped right at the front door. Turns out, her ex-husband straight up refused to let her inside. Christopher, even, threw around legal threats, warning he would call the police and have her arrested. He used late child support payments as an excuse, coldly blocking her from seeing her daughter one last time. Even though they had been estranged for years, the mother still managed to sneak inside the hall later. Ever since then, she posted non-stop on social media, watching every single little update about the murder case, swearing to get justice for her little girl. Meanwhile, the prime suspect, her 16-year-old stepbrother Tim, slowly vanished from the public eye. Since he was still a minor, the law kept his privacy strictly protected. All the police investigation details stayed completely locked down, too. After spending time under psychiatric watch and treatment, Tim was quietly taken away by his real dad. What really went down that night? It felt like this homicide case would just quietly fade to black, without a single answer. Until one day, a guy named Martin Dowhill suddenly dropped a post online that was a total bombshell. He claimed he was Anna's real uncle. His post sounded desperate. He begged everyone to help spread the word and get justice for Anna. In this massive leak, he pointed the finger straight at 16-year-old Tim. He spilled even crazier details. When the family realized Anna went missing the very next day, Tim actually confessed everything to his mom, which meant Anna's stepmother, and maybe even her own dad, might have known it all along. But they chose to stay completely quiet, from what the uncle gathered. The stepmother even threatened the rest of the family, warning them absolutely not to breathe a single word outside. Otherwise, she would ban them from Anna's funeral. At the end of his post, the uncle begged the internet one last time to hit share, to help guarantee that the people behind this awful crime, who lied and hid the truth from the rest of the family, face the harsh punishment they truly deserve. None of the details in this leak had ever been public before. When the pieces finally clicked together, the internet completely blew up. People began to realize that Anna's real family life was nowhere near as perfect as her social media feed made it look. This 18-year-old girl might have been battling some true horrors all by herself. As more people started speaking out, a twisted family reality began to surface. The dynamic between Anna and her stepbrother, Tim, seriously grabbed the internet's attention. Out of everyone stepping forward, Anna's ex-boyfriend, Joe Swody, offered some major testimony. He used to be someone Anna trusted with her life. In fact, they originally planned to take this cruise together. Even though they broke up a few months prior, in Tia's heart, Anna was still that pure, beautiful girl. According to Tia, Tim had a sick, borderline obsessive need to control his older sister, who was 2 years older than him. He had zero boundaries with her. During one media interview, Tia described a deeply unsettling memory that was just straight up abnormal. One night, around 3 a.m., he was on a video call with Anna. But while Anna was talking, her stepbrother suddenly popped up like a ghost, creeping out of the dark background. He literally crossed the line and tried to climb right into Anna's bed. What worried him even more was that Tim always hid a folding pocket knife inside his backpack. All of this made Tia feel like Anna was constantly living with this quiet, underlying fear. She just had a really tough time showing it. A few of Anna's closest friends, she actually talked about this before she died. In the memories of her friends, Anna was just a sweet kid. She almost never caused problems for anybody else. But the weird part? She was always making up random excuses just to crash at her friends' places. Even if she had to sleep on a cramped living room couch, she was totally fine with it. Back then, nobody thought much about it. It wasn't until the tragedy happened that her friends finally put it together. Maybe there was someone at home she desperately wanted to avoid. If she was that terrified of her stepbrother, and Tim was showing all these massive red flags, but there is no way the adults didn't know. So, an obvious question comes up. Why, on this cruise vacation, did her dad put them in the exact same room? According to Carnival Cruise Line's strict policy, for safety, any cabin with minors needs to have an adult staying with them. Going by those rules, Anna, Tim, and Connor shouldn't have been allowed to get their own room. Some internet sleuths have guessed that the original room setup was completely different at first, just so the parents could have alone time. The family probably swapped room keys in secret after boarding, meaning the first cabin assignments might have paired each parent with their biological kids, or maybe the dad took the boys, while the mom took the girls. The grandparents would still keep their own separate cabin, just like they did. Under that arrangement, Anna never would have shared a room with Tim late at night. If this theory holds up, it means the adults, just wanting some peace and quiet, forced the responsible older sister to babysit her 2 younger siblings. And ultimately, that selfish decision cost Anna her life. As detectives dug deeper, the dark truth of that night finally surfaced. In May 2026, 3 months after the murder, police officially announced that Anna's stepbrother, Tim, had been charged with murder. He would face trial at the Miami Federal Courthouse. Since the suspect is a minor, the exact details of his charges are sealed. In the official legal papers, the teen is just called TH. Outside the courthouse, furious protesters and news crews swarmed the building. But for those same reasons, reporters were blocked from the courtroom. With the specific case details heavily guarded, the public relied on leaked clues to piece together the most likely timeline of what actually went down. During dinner on the night of the crime, both Anna and Tim had a few drinks. Once they got back to the cabin, a massive screaming match kicked off. Tim, who had harbored twisted, obsessive feelings for his stepsister for a long time, was under the influence of alcohol. Stuck in that tiny room, his obsession turned into pure rage. He completely lost it, which led straight to the deadly attack. When he finally realized Anna wasn't breathing, Tim never even tried to call for help. As for the rest of the family, after learning the horrible truth, their messy family dynamics made them hide everything from the outside world. Based on insider sources, Tim is no longer living with the Kepler family. He moved in with his biological father instead. And his dad is actively funding his legal defense team. And the wild part is, this father refuses to believe that Tim actually did anything wrong. Instead, he completely blames his ex-wife, Tim's mom. He claims her absolute failure as a parent is what let those minors drink at the cruise dinner that night, sparking the entire tragedy and making Tim lose control of his temper. On top of that, the biological dad even filed a court petition to legally take the youngest daughter away from his ex-wife, demanding she live with him. He's claiming to be terrified that Anna's grieving father might take his violent anger over the murder out on the youngest girl. Right now, the criminal trial is still ongoing. Since this criminal case is highly sensitive, the public has to rely on the unsealed documents and random insider leaks to guess what happened. As for the real psychological motive behind Tim's deadly attack and the jury's final verdict, we just have to wait until the trial wraps up and details get released to the public in future news reports. Anna's grandparents just sat down for an interview too. They still can't accept that this horrific nightmare is real. In everyone's memory, those two kids were practically family, tied at the hip. Their bond seemed bulletproof. Nobody could recall a single time they ever fought. That perfect family image clashing hard with the dark secrets Han's friends revealed. It paints a chilling picture. Maybe that peaceful harmony the adults saw was just a massive lie, while the kids their own age could sense the very real fear underneath. It makes the whole investigation messier, and honestly, just a lot heavier. Anna's life was cut short at 18. That independence she was desperate for, it just turned into a distant fantasy, a world she never got to see. The Han Kepler tragedy is a brutal reminder of the dark secrets buried deep behind those perfect suburban doors, and that dangerously thin line crossing protection into neglect. Anna met a truly tragic fate, leaving behind way more than just shattered loved ones. She left a mountain of totally unanswered questions. Now, we can only hope that even if the court hearings stay completely behind closed doors, even with the truth heavily filtered for the public, true justice will still rightfully be served. So that young girl's soul never has to spend another second living in fear. That wraps up today's true crime video. We will see you guys in the very next one. Goodbye.